Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be doing another reissue review. So, much like the Super Saiyan Trunks that I looked at earlier in the year, they did a reissue of the legendary Super Saiyan Goku, which, unlike the Trunks, didn't really have too many quality control issues. It was mainly like a color issue, where the chest was a different type of plastic to the rest of the body, and therefore had a different shade of the skin color. While in person it didn't look too bad, on camera it did look noticeable that like the chest was a completely different color to the rest of the body, and this reissue I had heard that it fixed that, or at least attempted to fix that, so we will be looking at that today, as well as just looking at the figure in general to see if anything else has changed. So here is both figures next to each other. The reissue is on the left and the original release is on the right, and the box is exactly the same. The only thing that's different between these is the Toei animation sticker, where one's silver, one's gold. That just indicates where I got it. One was from Japan, one was local. But otherwise, you won't really be able to tell what version is which unless you actually have them in hand to tell the difference, because you can actually see the slight change in the color of the chest from the outset. But taken out of the box, you can see the loadout is exactly the same as we had before. So the four faces, different hair sculpts, a bunch of different hands, all the Kamehameha accessories, and of course the figure itself. And still looks fantastic now. The 3.0 mold is just absolutely fantastic, and it really should become the standardized thing for the rest of the Dragon Ball Figuarts line, or at least heavily used for a lot of characters, in particular Goku in his many states. But I understand why they still use the 2.0 mold. It's easy, it's cheap, it's simple, and it does cover ground for a lot of characters. Thankfully, we have pretty much almost covered everyone, I would say, for like anyone that would need that sort of body type. And hopefully we'll be getting new figures soon, or just brand new molds every single time, which would probably be expensive, but it is what it is when you're tackling characters that look way different. Anyway, this is the new release next to the old release. So the new one is on the left and the old one is on the right, and you can already see the difference in the chest. The one on the right is a much sort of paler sort of skin tone, whereas the one on the left looks much nicer. There is still a difference between the chest and the rest of the body, but it is way less noticeable. And again, in person, like in natural lighting, these figures both look pretty damn good, and the color difference is not nearly as noticeable. But on camera with artificial light, it is quite noticeable. But it didn't really bother me then, but I thought it'd be nice to have another figure of this anyway, just in case I wanted to do any customs or anything like that. And it just seemed like a good opportunity, especially with the new Frieza coming out. And here they are side by side, from the front, from the back, and from the other side. I feel like the chest color difference is most noticeable on the back, just because there's not a whole lot of detail that's taking your eyes away from the difference, so you can sort of see what we're dealing with. In terms of the stature of the figure, they are exactly the same. It might look different on camera, but that is purely because I have them in very slightly different poses. It's not a thing of like one of their necks is stockier than the others. It's just purely a posing thing. So do not think that the new release is slightly shorter or his neck's chunkier. They are the same. I didn't notice anything different. If there is something different, then I have completely missed it. But from what I could tell, especially after filming, they are exactly the same in terms of the mold. And because they're the same in terms of the mold, this is another enjoyable figure to move around. He can do basically anything you want. Really solid joints, really good butterflies, just everything you expect from the line, and a little bit extra, which is pretty much what the 3.0 molds are. Just that little bit extra that makes them just the absolute best from the Dragon Ball line. And again, no real issues. I didn't have any real issues with the posability from the last one. The ankles did bother me a little bit originally, but you just need to get used to them, and you can get some pretty good poses out of the figure. And now, with the new chest, the figure poses just a little bit better on camera, so the color difference just looks nicer. And so I got him into some very basic poses. and he's just looking good, sitting pretty, and I'm pretty happy with it. In terms of any other changes to the figure, like I said, I don't notice anything because other than the chest thing, this was a very, very solid release. It wasn't anything like the Trunks where it needed the revision to fix up the arm problem, as well as the scabbard thing. Honestly, those things didn't really bother me that much, but I do understand why people needed those fixed. And of course I bought the re-release, and it is a much better figure because of that, but I didn't think that it devalued the original in any way. And similar thing here. If you've got the original Legendary Super Saiyan Goku and the chest thing doesn't really bother you, then there's no reason to get this figure. It is the exact same figure, and it's the exact same great figure. But if it does really tick you off about the slight change in the chest color, yeah, I guess you can go out and grab this one. If you don't have one at all, this is an absolutely fantastic figure, and I highly recommend it. It is pretty much the tippity top of Dragon Ball S.H.Figuarts. This is the sort of figure that we want all of the figures to be in terms of quality, accessories, style, but unfortunately we don't always get that. But thankfully this one is a very good figure, and the reissue is just a slightly better version of an already fantastic figure. But yeah, not a whole lot to look at that is different in this figure, just a very solid release. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.